Yeah.
Can you hear me? I did that just now, eh? You want me to stop it? I can't hear you, eh?
So the lie began from the very beginning of time, right? And so the lie began from the very beginning of time, right? And I can ask you one question right now. What does history tell us here about Africa? Who discovered Africa? If you write right now on Google who discovered Africa, you find out that is one white man that he came and discovered Africa. And you can ask yourself that how can you discover a place that already exists? How can you discover a place that people already live in that place? It is impossible, but that's what the history tells us. That's what so the lie began from the very
Okay, let me tell you this, guys. Darkness has no power. Darkness has no power at all. Like darkness, it has no power. Why? If you're in the deep darkness, all right, you don't see anything. You don't see where you're going. You don't see what is next to you. And then you just turn light. In 1 second, that darkness disappears. So do you understand the importance of light in the midst of darkness? Okay, on the other hand, if you have light, it doesn't matter how much there's a deep darkness, it doesn't matter, but you always see something as long as there's a light. This is to tell you that, guys, in the midst of darkness, there's these bright moments that happen, and our job is to focus on that. Sometimes, you know, there'll be a time we'll talk about the issues and everything and the struggles that are happening and how can we get over this, and there'll be a time that we'll channel our energy and we channel our hearts to something good that is happening.
Okay, but I can't hear you. I can't hear you though. Can you unmute yourself?
Hello, the architect.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can get you. Now you can continue with the session.
Okay, so I don't know what were you doing before. I don't get what you was doing before. Hello?
Hey, the architect.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah, you can start now the session. We are live now.
Okay. I was playing the videos before so that we can just go in with these videos because there's a bunch of videos that I want to play before I start. Yeah, you understand?
Yeah.
So why did you stop that video that you was playing?
Oh, let's welcome first, because now we are live. Let's welcome first the audience who are watching live now, so that you can prepare what your material now.
Okay.
Yeah, you can start the session now while you are preparing yourself.
All right. Welcome, guys. Welcome again. You guys can give me a thumbs up if you can hear me properly. First, we're gonna start off with a prayer. So, Brother Paul, can you pray first? Hello? All right, I guess I'll pray then. Thank you, Lord, for bringing us here once again. I pray that everything we say here will reach out to those people who might not have a vision of what's happening in the world. I pray that you give us health and strength so that we can continue. And I pray that you even help me myself to learn while I'm going through this. Amen. Paul, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. All right, guys. So before I start, I want to play some videos because it's how I wanted to start it anyway. So, but I wanted to play these videos until the end because I want us to get reinforced with what we are trying to do here.
So the lie began from the very beginning of time, right? And I can ask you one question right now. What does history tell us here about Africa? Who discovered Africa? If you write right now on Google who discovered Africa, you find out that is one white man that he came and discovered Africa. And you can ask yourself that how can you discover a place that already exists? How can you discover a place that people already live in that place? It is impossible, but that's what the history tells us. That's what people believe about Africa, that it was discovered by a white man. This guy, he came, and then he went back, he gave a report, and then the next we know is colonialism, because those guys, they start somewhere.
What happened?
So the lie began from the very beginning of time, right? And I can ask you one question right now. What does history...
Why is it stopping? Anyway, let me just start the show, guys. Don't worry about that.
You want to support independent economic movements around the world, but don't know how.
What the? I don't. Anyway, you know what? It's fine. I'll just start the show. All right, guys. Hope you guys can see my screen. Today, we're going to talk about what the avalanche effect is and go deeper into the topic from today, which is pattern interrupts. So I'll tell you guys what the avalanche effect is and how I bring it into my own philosophy. The avalanche effect is in physics is a sudden increase in the flow of an electric current to a non-conducting or semiconductor solid when a sufficient strong electrical force is applied. The reason why this is so important to me and to my philosophy is that I believe that the world itself is a circuit, right? The world is a circuit, just like this you're seeing on the screen. The world is a circuit, and we are a part of this circuit in the world. The reason why the avalanche effect, I think that it matches what needs to be done today is because considering that the world is a circuit, it means that in order for us to change the world or change the way the world relates to us, we have to apply a little bit more pressure, so a little bit more electricity, so that even though prosperity and these things that people should enjoy in life is not directed in our direction, we can always push more strength into the circuit so that the circuit breaks, and then those things that the circuit designed to prevent us from getting, like prosperity and true freedom and true education and those kind of things, those things will start to flow in our direction if we push more electricity through that circuit and break it and make it work for us. I put that image down on the bottom left because I wanted everyone to remember that the pyramids themselves were a circuit when they were created. They had electricity in that pyramid for some reason. That's because they found out where exactly the pyramid needed to be in order for the pyramid to be able to conduct that electricity. So the world is actually a circuit, and we are part of that circuit. And that's where the avalanche effect came in. Because with the avalanche effect, we can we can use this philosophy and apply it to our life in this real world, considering that the world is a circuit. But how do we change the way the world relate to us, and the way that how do we change the circuit? How do we change the world from the way that it's built to look at us, and the way that it's built to control our surroundings into a place where we can be prosperous? So instead of us thinking that we are just supposed to be subjects on the earth, how do we actually engage with the world? How do we change that relationship? We change that relationship by having pattern interrupts, right? So what are pattern interrupts? A pattern interrupt is a way to alter a person's mental, emotional, or behavioral state to break their typical habits. Think of it as an unexpected act that jolts them into another state of mind. And I think that that's what we have to do. That's what we have to do. We have to alter the way the world look at us, alter the relationship that the world has with us, so that when they look at us, they won't just look at us as subjects. They won't just look at Africa as a place where they can come and take resources and just not pay for it, where they can get 0%, where they can pay 0% for the resources that they take, or $0 for the resources that they take, but make 100% profit. That's what needs to be done. The state needs to be altered. So the state of affairs and the relationship that we have to the in the world has to be altered. It has to be altered by having pattern interrupts. But pattern interrupts where? That's the question. How do we alter people's how do we also alter a person's mental, emotional, and behavioral state to break the habits that they have towards us as people? So, example, how do we alter the relationship that we have with Saudi Arabia so that so many women that go over there don't end up in the position that they end up in? We have to jolt them. There has to be a jolt. There has to be a jolt so that the state of mind is changed. But how? How do we do that? Or where do we do it? You do it in all areas of human activity. Guys, give me 1 second. Sorry about that. So we change it in all areas of human activity. So where are the patterns? The patterns are modes of production. So these patterns are not just patterns for pattern's sake. It's a mode of production that has been created around Africa, around Africa's resources, around African people. If you look at what most Africans do in America, that they do when they become billionaires, is probably has to do most of the time something to do with art, whether music, whether actual artistry, for sports or something, right? Most of the times, not all the times, most of the times. So these are not just patterns. These are not just patterns. These are mode of production. People have created a living around these things, around Africans being athletic, around Africans being artists, around Africans being music artists, around Africans being football players, being cricket players, but they never are able to handle or to oversee the business side of things, because that's who really is controlling the whole thing. The Africans that they're using are mostly just what they call like the lead singer. They're like the lead singer in a band, but they don't really control anything. They're just the image of it. But a mode of production has been created around around those kind of things that doesn't give us any power. More than often, it takes power from us. So I'll give you 4 examples. There are really 9 areas of human activity, and then Dr. Francis Chris Wilson here on the right created a 10th one, which is health. Health is also a part of the area of human activity. If you think of areas of human activity as ways for people to create mode of production, then you realize how important it is to be active in all areas of human activity. So, for instance, economics. In our economics, we have to create organizations that play on the same level as these other global organizations, like those organizations that we talked about last week in the previous lesson. In education, we have to create new ways to interrupt the patterns of miseducation. When we go further down, I'll explain a little bit more of what I'm talking about with that. Whether you teach your children at home or you send them to a private school which teaches them their true history. History is one of the most important parts of the education system that must be interrupted, because when people lose their history, they lose a lot more than their history. They lose their identity. They're probably going to lose their language. They're probably going to lose their beliefs and all those things. So it's important that the patterns are interrupted in the education system so that people can build back pride in themselves. Entertainment. I actually do have a video to show you guys about which gives a perfect example of how entertainment is so effective in keeping up this mode of production, this idea of countries being exceptional from other countries because they have more power than you. And a part of this is the entertainment industry. That's why the entertainment industry is so popular, and that's why even before a movie is released, they have to share what the movie is about with certain people, Big Brother on them, so that they can pass the movie. They can decide that the movie should go out in Hollywood or not, because it's a powerful tool, very powerful tool. And Swahili Nation is one of those places that actually combats the media in all those negative images that they show about our people. So new ways of identifying harmful videography and images need to be developed to combat the negative imagery of our people, like Swahili Nation. And also new laws must be made in time as well, because you can't protect yourself without being able to maneuver on all levels of human activity without being able to protect yourself while you're maneuvering in the international arena, in the continent itself, in your village. There must be certain laws that protect you so that you can maneuver the world like everyone else, and etc. Right? So remember when last week we talked about the 9 areas of human activity. All those areas must be interrupted, because they're not just areas of human activity. There are modes of production that's being created around these areas of human activity, so that we are being pushed to the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder. I would have put all the other ones, but I had to rush this this presentation. So just remember all of those areas of human activity that we talk about in the other lesson. Let me bring them up so that you guys can actually see them again. So let's see. 1 second. So if we go here, all these areas are areas that must be a pattern interrupt in all these areas. There must be pattern interrupts in each one, so that every one is actually everyone in this community is also being taken into account while laws are being made around a certain thing. And we can go back to what recently happened with the lockdowns and everything. No one asks us as African people how this thing is affecting us, anything, if there's any natural remedies we can use to actually get rid of this thing instead of just taking some medicine for it. I'm sure there's a natural remedy that's out there that can work for this instead of this the V. So in this section, that's what I wanted to tell you guys in this section. Where are the patterns? The patterns are the modes of production. The mode of production is where to get the resources from and where the resources is going to be turned into raw materials in order to be sold as products at 100% profit. That's what a mode of production is. A mode of production is these diamonds coming out of the Congo that's going to Europe and being sold in people's wedding rings. So it's coming out of the ground, and then the raw material is being used for something, and that something is being used to make a product that is then sold for 100% profit, or who knows, even 75% profit if we're trying to be fair. These are modes of production. They're not just things that's happening. It's not God that made the world like that. It's people that actually sat down and think about how they're gonna take from you and make stuff their own in order for them to somehow be in a more superior position than you. And that's one thing that Africa is lack industrialization. Because if it was industrialized, then these resources wouldn't be coming out of the continent. They would be being used in the continent. That is also a mode of production. It being used in the continent to make products is also a mode of production. And this mode of production must be introduced in order to break that pattern. So that itself, being able to develop industrially, is in itself a pattern interrupt. And then let's move on to the next slide. So why do we need to interrupt these patterns? We need to interrupt these patterns because these patterns are the reason for Africa's underdevelopment. The fact that you can't use your coltan in order to make electric cars. The fact that you have little children digging up diamonds and digging up coltan and digging up all these resources in order for them to only be shipped out. In order for them to only be shipped out and then turn into products. That's why the patterns need to be interrupted. For instance, let's look at an example of coltan. So coltan, right? To make these batteries, these supply chains, every time you see the word supply chain, you have to replace it with mode of production. Every time you see the word supply chain, replace it with mode of production. So the mode of production for the cobalt that's coming out of Congo is creating all these other problems in Africa. That's why these mode of production must be interrupted, because it's because of this that you see these images, what you're seeing on your left right now. People digging up this stuff, not even being able to test it or use it anywhere else. They just dig it up and ship it out. So we never develop from the root. We only develop from like what other people has created out of what we have. That's why these patterns need to be interrupted. When they're interrupted, it's gonna be better for us and probably better for the whole world, because when these things are not interrupted, it creates chaos. It creates chaos in a way that we don't even understand who are looking from the outside in. We don't know why are there so many people on this hill in this hole here, and there's a man with a gun there. If these patterns are not interrupted, this is what's gonna keep happening. Because remember, the people who are using these raw materials to make products, they don't care where it's coming from. They don't care what's happening. They don't care. Hi, Chrissy. Hi, I saw you guys. I saw you. Thank you for being here. I hope that we all can learn something here, because I'm learning as well as I'm doing this. The best way to learn is to teach. So, as I was saying, because of these patterns, just we have to also remember that the people who are getting these resources, they don't care about how they get it. They don't care about how they get it. They don't care about what's happening on the ground. They don't care about who got killed. They don't care about what regime is in power at the time. That's not their concern. Their concern is when they're gonna get these resources. That's all they're concerned about. And because of that, and because they're not the ones suffering from these things, they grieve for our resources, and because we don't have any way to turn our resources into raw materials, which is a pattern interrupt, they are able to just pay off some people, have them control the area, get these resources from wherever, and when they finish using them, they get rid of them and replace them with someone else. That's what been happening in our Africa, right? Let's go to the next slide. So this is a pattern. This first one I'm showing you here is the reason why the pattern interrupt there need to be a pattern interrupt in the industrialization of Africa's resources. That itself is a pattern interrupt, because then these resources won't be going out to other people in order for them to make the phones that we should be making in Africa. So next pattern that needs to be interrupted is the education system, right? So the school to prison pipeline, that must be interrupted. And one way that can be interrupted is by using your art, using your skills as a teacher, like all these people you're seeing on the screen right now. These people were pattern interrupts in the education system, in the most the education system, because education is not only taught by teachers. Education is also taught by musical artists and from all type of other artists. They also are educators in themselves, right? They also are people who saw the patterns, saw the modes of production, and realized that the modes of production wasn't in our favor. So they spoke out about it. Some of them even started and changed the face of Africa when they found out what these patterns were and how these patterns must be interrupted in order for Africa and Africans to develop themselves and to develop pride in themselves, right? So these are people who interrupted these patterns. You have Dr. John Henry Clark right here, first person. Then and beside him you have Dr. Francis Cress. Well, Dr. John Henry Clark was a historian. Let me explain that first. So he was a historian. Pattern interrupt, right? Then you have on the right here Dr. Francis Cress-Welsing, who was a psychiatrist. You guys should look into her work. Her work is very interesting. You should look at the Cress theory of color, the Cress theory of color confrontation, which she described, and she said that she's the one who got the ideas from about being involved in all areas of human activity. She's the one who put that out there. Because unless you're involved in all areas of human activity, then you are being controlled by someone else's definition of what is supposed to be in place of that. Let's say you're not controlling your healthcare. If you're not controlling your healthcare, then someone else is going to control your healthcare. It's just as simple as that. Because that mode of production needs to be filled. That space needs to be filled. It will create a vacuum. So you will hear different presidents come with different health plans. These are also these are patterns that must be interrupted in order for us to actually be able to help ourselves. In the education system, this is my last slide. But what you're seeing on the left is Tulsa's Black Wall Street, right? So in these times, I don't remember what year this Black Wall Street was built, but maybe some of you guys can help me in the comments. But in these times, it was almost impossible for Africans to have their own economic system within America itself. And that's why it was destroyed, because they themselves thought it was impossible. But this was a pattern interrupt. This interrupted the pattern that all Africans should be either working on a cane field or working for someone else, building someone else's economic system. This interrupted that pattern, and that's why it was destroyed. Because these patterns are not just patterns, as we say, right? They are modes of production. They're making people rich. People are actually getting rich off of our pain, off of our struggle. That's what capitalism is in the first place. So this in itself is also a pattern. And I don't know if you guys know about Dr. Amos Wilson. He has a lot of lectures about economics. And he said Black power is Black economics. And it's true, because without that economic structure, without a support system, you can't really support anything. Without an economic support system, you can't even influence who's going to be the next prime minister or president somewhere, because you don't have any contribution really to give them, but lip service probably. Sometimes lip service work, but in most times you need a support system if you want to support someone or support anything. There's a video I want to show you guys. Thank you, Regma Music. Yes, thank you for that. I'll put that up because I didn't know exactly when Tulsa actually happened. But these are things that for us to think about, right? So if you think about it, Marcus Garvey himself was a pattern interrupt in the economic system. And when I explain it like this to myself, I get to understand what needs to be done. I get to understand what's been happening. I get to understand how it's been happening. I get to understand all those things when I think about it like that, as a system being a bunch of patterns, and protocols that must be interrupted. Whoever was here for my last lesson, I actually explain what a pattern interrupt is. A pattern interrupt is when you actually I'll show you guys above anyway, but so a pattern interrupt is a way to alter a person's mental, emotional, or behavioral state to break their typical habits. And that's what we want to do with the world as African people. We want to break the habits that they have when they look at us. We want to break the habits that they have when they deal with us. We want to break the habits that they have when we enter the airport at some foreign country and they think that we are coming, we are not supposed to be there, something like that. We're trying to break those habits. In order to break those habits, you have to jolt people. It's like when you tell your child don't do something and the child is still doing it. Like you got them and you shake them and you're like, what's wrong with you? So you jolt them out of that state of mind where they think that was okay, and then now they realize that it's not okay. This is what we're trying to do with the world. If you think about it, with this philosophy, we're trying to break the circuit. That's what you want to do. You want to break the circuit. Don't forget that the world itself is a circuit. The world itself is a circuit, right? The Egyptians understood this. That's why they were so powerful. They understood that they work on simple principles. Sometimes we think that we have to, sometimes it's necessary to force things into position, but more than often, it's really important if you can find out where the flow is. To work with nature, basically. If you can find out what can nature help you with before you consider force. And if you think about the world as a circuit, then you would realize that sometimes it's necessary to force, but I think that it's also even more necessary to find out where you can find the stream. So instead of forcing and pushing against, always pushing against the odds, you can flow with how the world works. And then when there's time, then when if you have to apply force, then you apply force so that the circuit can work in your favor, in your direction. 1 second. Oh, I have a example to show you guys on YouTube about entertainment. How the entertainment is so important in when we're trying to build back pride in our people, and also trying to break the circuit, because it's not just something tangible. So in some cases, you can't even touch the patterns that they have created in order to keep us in a certain state. And a lot of breaking that stuff had to do with the mental. It has to do with the mind. Like I show you guys before, how the perception of Africa compared to the reality of Africa. And I'll bring back that slide right now. 1 second. So 1 second. So if you guys look at this, remember, perception and reality. So to break these perception, we have to educate ourselves about what happened before. Why is Africa looking like a chessboard when God never made it like a chessboard? So this itself needs to be there need to be a pattern interrupt in how people even think about Africa as a continent that filled with so many different people. As I said, God never made it like this, you know. So it needs to be, that pattern needs to be interrupted with education. And one of the big things I've seen, I'll show you guys. I saw this movie one time, because I pick up these things all over, in everything I see, everything I hear. I see these patterns, I hear these patterns, and I want to show you guys something that will, like, it will kind of shock you about the patterns that these people have developed in Hollywood to make it seem like it's okay to just do whatever they feel like to African people. They make it seem like it's just okay. So let's go to this video, and I hope you guys will be able to hear it. I sent the link in the chat for whoever wants to join and ask questions about my philosophy, whatever you want to ask questions about. So let me add this screen. Oops. Or you can leave your comments in the chat as well. Where is that tab? Yeah, this one. So I hope you guys can see my screen and hear it as well. Let's play it and see what happened. And see, I'll show you guys what these patterns, how dangerous these patterns are. Let me mute myself first.
How you doing? You think I'm gonna waterboard you, Bashir? Waterboarding is when we can't torture. This is Africa. I can do whatever the fuck I want here.
So did you guys hear that? He said waterboarding, they do waterboarding when they can't do other things. But this is Africa. I could do whatever I want here. Just think about that. Just think about what message that sends to other people in the world, other soldiers who are gonna be in these places, or who are gonna be in contact with these people, with Somalian people, with other Africans, all around the continent. Just think about what they're gonna think when they hear this. This guy said, let me show you guys again. Let me put the I think I could put the you have subtitles. It doesn't have any subtitles.
This is Africa. I can do whatever the fuck I want here.
You see that? That's not just a simple thing. That's a serious statement. I could do whatever I want here. Like who are you? I'm in your place, but I could do whatever I want here still. These are patterns also that must be interrupted. These patterns must be interrupted, because if they're not interrupted, then it's going to send a bad message to other people that I could just join the army and I could just go here and I could do whatever I want here, because no one's gonna look out for you guys anyway. You guys don't have no system to look out for you. I have all the power I want here, even though I don't live here, even though I don't know nothing about here. I have all the power to take away your life, your children. I could do anything I feel like, because this is Africa. Yeah, this is a very, when I first heard this, it was very like troubling to me. I was like, who said that was okay to put in a movie? What if we change it around and say, this is America, we can do whatever we want here? Man, we'll be like all over the news, like, what? How dare you make a movie like that saying those things? So as I said, Virgin, these are also patterns that need interrupted. I want some of you guys to come in if you want to. Come in the chat and you can ask whatever questions you want. I'll post your questions. My lessons are not going to be too long, because I believe that the shorter and the more imagery, the more videos I show you guys, the more you're going to make your guys ponder, because that's why I call it thought time, because I want to give you guys something to think about by the time I'm finished. So it's not going to be long. And every 4 weeks, I will go back to the first topic that I have and extend it. So this is my second week. So in my lesson 3 weeks from now will be a continuation of what I did before. And I will extend it and explain it more. I'm going to get better and better at it as I go. So bear with me, guys. And if you have any questions, ask your questions. Ask them in the comment. Come on the live. The link is posted. And ask your questions. But I hope you guys see what I'm talking about when it comes to pattern interrupts. Like, even the way we teach people about Africa needs to be interrupted, because the way we teach people about Africa is not in any way beneficial to us. When we teach them that there's so many different people and everything there, and outside as well. But I think that it does more harm than good to continue to teach what we know is wrong in the first place, like separating ourselves from each other with borders that were given to us. Not God didn't give them to us, other people gave them to us. So I always think to myself, okay, fine, they went down and they split up Africa in 1884, 85. But who say we have to accept that forever? We don't have to accept that forever. That pattern needs to be interrupted. The idea that we can just sanction each other on the continent, like, no, that's not supposed to happen. The idea that terrorists are being killed in northern Mali, I mean, not terrorists, sorry, civilians are being killed in northern Mali, and then if you look at the map, you'll see that if there's trouble in northern Mali, and Chad can't get involved, then and Niger can't get involved, then what kind of image are we showing to our children when we let these things happen just because we were separated by people who don't even understand us? No, when there's something happening in one spot, it's supposed to feel like it's happening to all of us. All of us should act on it, and that's how it's supposed to be. But because of these patterns that Europeans made in Africa, calling this place Libya, calling this place French Sudan, calling this place Chad, calling this place Niger, and they're all controlling these areas. They gave us independence. No one gives you independence; you take it. And if someone tell you they gave you independence, or you gain independence at a certain time. If they say you gain independence at a certain time, it means that at some point they took your independence from you. So you didn't gain it; you regain it. You regain your independence, not gain it. And no one gives you independence; you take it. So, in my eyes, I don't know. There are some times I think about it and I say, man, it's almost like Africa is not truly independent, because if it was truly independent, then the state of Africa will go back to its normal state. It will go back to the state that God made it. But because I feel like it's not truly independent, it still has these crossed up chessboard looking Africa that people come down and think that they can bully one, and because one is weak and the other is strong, and the strong one won't even help the weak one, because the strong one don't even see himself as the weak one because of what they did to Africa. All right, welcome, Mariette.
Hi, Rich. How are you?
I'm sorry. Good. I'm sorry I mispronounced your name.
Oh, that's okay. I'm used to that. I just wanted to compliment you on your show. You're doing a good job. Very much information. So that's good. And yeah, I don't have any questions now. I just wanted to come in and say hi and give you a compliment.
Thank you so much. Like, are you I'm hoping that you're understanding and digesting the information that I'm trying to give, because as I say, it won't be my sessions won't be long, because I kind of don't see the need, and also that's why I call it thought time, because I want people to actually think about what they're seeing.
Yeah, I think that's very good that you do that, to give a lot of information to actually, let people think, make up their mind.
Yeah, exactly. Because I know some of my ideas are pretty like daring. So
yeah, well, but it's true what you're saying, and there has to be made changes, and changes can only happen if people know about it. Like if they be informed. Mm-hmm. So that's what you're doing. You're informing and giving the good information, and people can look it up and see for themselves. So I think it's good. Keep it up.
Thank you.
So I hope somebody else has a question for you then.
I hope so.
Usually it's when it's one sheep over the fence, then there will be following more, right?
Hopefully. That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
So it's a Wednesday as well, so other people are working and everything.
What do you mean?
I said it's a Wednesday as well. People are working and all that stuff. So that,
yeah, well, here it's evening, so that's work day is over, right? It's now almost 9 in the evening in Holland, Netherlands, Europe.
That's good.
So I don't know. Your time zone is different, right? So it's always a challenge then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right now it's 10. I'm 2:50 here right now, so 10 minutes to 3.
Okay, so it's the middle of the day.
Yeah.
There might be people at work. Well, they can catch up later then, maybe.
Yeah, of course. Well, they can go back and see what they can take from it as well.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, well, just keep on what you're doing. It's a good job. And
thank you.
Talk to you later then.
Okay, I'll talk to you later. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye. So yeah, guys, if you guys want to come in and ask me a question, challenge me then. Challenge me and all this stuff. No problem. I'll answer whatever questions you have, or whatever challenge you give me. Paul, do you have any questions, comments? Hey, BJ. Hey. Hey, there's a link. Come on in, come on in. So guys, remember, these are people here who interrupted the patterns, even fellow Kuti, who talked about, who's a Nigerian actually, Bob Marley. These ones you guys know easily. Hey, BJ, welcome, welcome.
I see you got my favorite topic, school to prison pipeline, huh?
Can you hear me, BJ?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, okay. Welcome, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing good as well. Just trying to see what I can learn here from myself.
Well, and, you got some interesting topics.
Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to see if I'm giving people too much hard food, you know, because
sometimes you have to take it and you got to keep, you know, just like our mothers used to do. Give us that bitter cough syrup, and we had to take it every day until the cold was gone. You may not like it going down, but the results you always appreciate it.
Sure, sure. I never thought about it like that. So, what you think? What pattern do you think need to be interrupted first?
The mental change on our minds.
But that takes a lot of time, you know.
Well, the thing is that if you stop the imagery, imagination is so critical on our belief system. And whatever is put before our eyes, we will take, no matter how horrific, no matter how awful or distorted it is, we will somehow, because our minds have to force to live with those images, try to normalize it. So that's why we have to look at what we see as what it is. And not, oh, they're only going to war because it's to make our lives better. We have to suffer now because, you know, this is needed. Because then therefore the news and the propaganda is going to come behind it to make us feel good, say, yes, you're right, this must happen. And look at the reality. The wars are going on to make a certain group rich and profitable and keep control over you. Now, if that was the words that the news was taking, you would want to fight against it.
Yeah.
But because we believe it's for our benefit, we take it. Okay, well, maybe I won't benefit it, but my grandchildren, well, maybe my grandchildren won't benefit it, but they're kids. Eventually, it's going to benefit me.
Yeah.
So then we stop feeling the pain of the suffering of those who are being oppressed. We stop feeling the pain of the people who are bleeding in the street. We stop feeling, and it's the same copy paste that they do for everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Normalize the suffering, and we have to make suffering not normal.
Normalize insanity. Normalize insanity. That's what it is.
I don't think these people are insane. They know exactly what they're doing.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So it's normalized insanity, right?
No, but see, if you're saying you don't know what you're doing, we got to come up with another term, because that even saying insanity means I don't have any ownerships of my action. I was insane when I was doing this stuff. Well, I'm not at fault.
Yeah.
I'm giving no passes no more. I lived too many decades giving passes for everything. When this is what people want to do, and we have to accept these people for who they are.
Well, it's normalized insanity, because I feel like it's not insane to them, it's insane to us. They normalize it to us, not to them.
Okay, yep, you're right. It is we are normalize our own insanity for accepting this craziness.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. We accept it. So like, you know,
yeah,
we're here thinking to ourselves, oh, maybe we're supposed to just behave and wait for heaven to come to us.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Because we're too apathetic. We are too apathetic. Did Moses wait for the mountain to come to him in Egypt?
Yeah, you're right. Good analogy.
You know. Don't talk about me living in the Bible that I don't even know how to read. Because all the words in the Bible tells you exactly what you want to do, and then somehow you don't do any of them, and you're like, well, it's okay because I'm a work in progress. Why are you even reading?
And like it's okay to let's see, like it's okay to say that there's progress in Libya right now because Gaddafi's gone, but not counting all of those people who lost their souls in the Mediterranean up to today. Like that happened in 2011.
Right.
That's 11 years ago, and it's still happening. People are still dying in the Mediterranean. So this is why I consider normalized insanity, because when they asked that lady, what her name was again, that lady, that German lady, I'm not gonna call her name, that German lady, when they asked her what she think about what happened in Libya, she said she's happy with the progress.
Of course she is, because it's progressing her. See, we have to stop. English is some people call it a spelled language. English is lies. English is a riddle, and your words have power. So you're literally manifesting her reality. I'm happy for the progress, and I'm saying, oh, she's happy for the progress. That means she's happy. So what do I have to do to keep her happy? While you're sitting there suffering. So the question really should be is, why are you happy for the progress? How are you benefiting from my suffering? They never go into those kinds of detail. So we need to be unhappy with the progress and speak that.
Exactly. And that's how you combat it, right? Because all that form of media that's combating us in the media, telling people that they're making progress over there, and we can speak for ourselves to defend ourselves and combat with those views that is somehow is progress. So there's war happening all over in the media, in the entertainment, education, in every area, guys. All over there's a war happening against African people. That's why where you see anywhere you go, the darker the people are, the further down they are in the socioeconomic chain.
Yeah, because they're happy about their progress.
Yeah.
Which means you will never progress. And we have to stop living their fantasies, because you're never going to be the head player in somebody else's game. So why are you going over there and asking them to please tell me what's going on here? Please come and study me.
Exactly. See,
please tell me what my problems are. Please tell me what I need to do to be like you. And honestly, think about just that statement. Please tell me what I need to do to be like you. I'm not going to tell you how to enslave me. Are you serious?
But
I'm going to teach you how to remain a slave and like it.
But that's also a pattern that needs to be interrupted. The fact that we're not supposed to develop in the intelligence field in order for us to solve our own problems. Like recently, for example, I'm going to show you guys something. Recently, there was a flood in Nigeria, and I couldn't believe so many people died in that flood. I couldn't believe how the place. I couldn't believe how the place looked. How many people died? More than 1 million people displaced, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah, and they say Nigeria colossal flooding kills more than 500 people. So, like for me, like when I see other people have floods and so on, like they're getting images from satellite, images from drones. They're sending in all these kind of things, all these kind of teams and those kind of things. This also is a pattern. You know what I mean? Patterns need to be interrupted in also intelligence, in also our intelligence, the way we gather intelligence, the way we solve our problems, the way we develop tools from raw materials to solve these problems also has to be interrupted, because everyone else is using the resources that we're supposed to be using to solve these kind of problems for their own benefit. Then we're stuck with just the resources themselves and just giving them away to people. But when we have a natural disaster, we can't even figure out.
But my question to you, architect, is: was the disaster natural?
But that's another.
And I say that to say that if they're sending drones over there to see something.
No, what I'm saying, no, I'm not saying they're sending drones. I'm saying when I see people have natural disasters in other areas of the world, they're sending everything they have to see.
Oh, gotcha.
This natural disaster happens so that maybe it doesn't happen again. How do we save these people who are stuck in this natural disaster happening? But there's nothing there for us to do the same. But let me say hello to Marie Antoinette. How are you?
Hey, Marie.
Hi, this is a wonderful program. I reached a little late because I had to take care of a problem in my garden. I have a fungus infestation, but yes, I just wanted to ask a question. BJ, are you referring to cloud seeding technology? You mean creating rain, or what were you referring to? If it's natural, asking.
Well, no, I mean, because I'm just thinking about like what's going on in Haiti, and they're now talking about we need to go over there because they have unrest in Haiti, so they will create an unnatural incident again. And I'm just thinking about Pakistan, that flood. They talking about that the dam overflowed. And they said the way that dam was created, it did not release the water back into the rivers, which then will release back into the Indian Ocean. So that's what I mean. They will create an unnatural disaster.
I agree.
And then give them leeway to come in and take what they want to take or destroy what they want to destroy.
I have read that preparations were made to divert Nigerian oil to, is it France? I need to return to that article, but they do have their eyes on Nigeria's oil.
Yeah, they just signed some contract with some European country to build a pipeline, provide them with oil or something, Nigeria. But you know what? The thing is that it's not relations with us economically, you know, is what kind of who's making these rules, is who's making these rules and who can contribute to how the rules are being made. Because if you're gonna always be in a weaker position when you negotiate with people, then people are gonna take advantage of you. That's just how people are, you know. They will take advantage of you. So I would say it's good that Nigeria are giving them some oil, but what are the terms?
And if it's not benefiting Nigeria, why are they doing this?
Exactly.
Yeah, from what I read, it's not benefiting Nigeria.
So all these now are patterns that this is a pattern also that has to be interrupted. If it's not benefiting Nigeria, then it doesn't make sense.
And then you almost step it back a step, saying now you understand where the conflicts are coming, because again, are the so-called rebels fighting against the system that's not benefiting them, or is it truly two factions that have dispute?
Exactly.
Because if it's only benefiting the West, then you have everybody on the continent has to understand you're still under colonial rule. I don't care what kind of system you put under that. If you're not benefiting it from what every person do every day, and you have to ask permission to step across the street from your mama's house, that means you're being ruled by somebody, and God has nothing to do with it.
And think about this too. Just think about this. I just talk about that. Think about the fact that every African on the continent, to go to another African country, you're being asked if you have a visa before you even land, before you even take off. And then other people can just go from one spot to the next without any. That's slavery. That's like you're in a cage.
Yeah. I mean, and people want to act like slavery has ended. That's the other false narrative. Slavery has not ended at all. The atrocities have not ended at all.
No.
And again, a lot of the key players who are supposed to be preventing it, I don't know if they're participating in it or they just sit back because they enjoy other people suffering.
In the book called Confessions of an... I think I have a feedback.
Academic Hitman?
Yes. Are you hearing me twice? Are you hearing an echo?
No, not so much.
We're hearing you good.
You don't hear you twice, but it's a little bit of background noise, but it's not too intense.
I think I have to turn off the speaker then. That's what it is. Yes, in the book called Confessions of an Economic Hitman, I think they spoke about the rewards they have for leaders who sign bad contracts. It's described in that book.
So, what do you mean?
They approach leaders, and in exchange for contracts that give foreigners the liberal use of their natural resources, the leaders get certain privileges.
Yeah, exactly. But if you look at this image that I'm showing you to here, right? This is what produces these type of things. This is what produces these images that you're looking at. The fact that people have created businesses from our resources, and we ourselves haven't even industrialized as yet, right? Because I look at Africa almost like it's almost like a pregnant woman that the world don't want to give birth. And how does it give birth? It gives birth by being able to change its natural resources into products, right? That's how Africa will give birth, because then the resources won't be coming out of Africa anymore. It will be being used inside of Africa. So Africa will be able to produce now. That's what people do when they give birth, right? They produce. So
well, architect, the other problem is that all the resources that you guys are exporting is not all the resources. And there's a huge problem that, what's left over I can't touch.
Yeah.
Here, I gave you all the copper you need, but I have this huge mound behind me, and I can't touch it for my own benefit.
But it's almost like they have made it. Go ahead, Mary Antoinette.
Yes, Ursula von der Leyen recently tried to prevent 2 African countries from developing their own natural resources. She's the head of the EU.
Yes, I heard about this. Uganda and Tanzania?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the exact, like, same thing happened over and over again. But back to what BJ said, remember, like, a part of industrialization has to do with education, eh? Like most of it has to do with education. The people are not being educated to be producers. They're being educated to be consumers. So the resources leave Africa and go to other places because, and then the resources come back to Africa in the form of cell phones, right?
Yeah, and you know, I kept wondering what happened to all of our inventors over here. What happened to our creative people? And I just ran over some little articles or whatever, and it talked about Spelman College is named after John D. Rockefeller's wife. Most of the universities started being developed by these, oh, I'm a philanthropist. No. They say the reason why that these universities start coming on board and being developed and being funded was to get the people away from trying to be dependent upon themselves and to teach them how to then come into the system and work for someone else. So literally, it was training them to be slaves. I mean, because technically, we all are slaves. We're slave to a job, slave to this, slave to that. Some of us get a little bit of money, some of us don't get none, and some get barely enough to even put food on the table for one day of the week. So if you're sending all your kids over and not letting them know, hold on to your values and hold on to your purpose, they will be indoctrinated into the system, and they'll see all the nice, warm, and fuzzy pieces of it. And by the time they see the reality of it, it will be too late. You have resources and you're not developing for your own purpose. Who do you point the finger at? Too many times we're trying to point the finger at someone and we're not taking the other four fingers and let me try to do something with it.
Well, go ahead. I think Mary Antoinette, do you want to say something?
I was just going to mention here we have the electrical company does not want people to import the parts that they would need to install to change their houses to completely power solared electricity. So sometimes there are factors within your own country that prevent citizens from being innovative. You would think they would encourage the use of solar-powered electricity in a Caribbean island. That was all I wanted to say.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah. I heard also you're so right though, because we are the ones that are to blame. But I think that the reason why it hasn't really happened yet is because of what brought me here in the first place. What I think is missing is intelligent organization. There's no one that's standing up yet and saying, hey, this is what it is. This is what we have. We know what's been happening. We know what happened before. We know that Africa is not 54 countries. You guys came down here and did this. But okay, since it's done already, we as African now, we are African leaders. We need to start to actually bring back that synergy back together, like have good relations with the people, with the countries around you, so that even though it's 54 countries, it doesn't feel like 54 countries. It will feel more like a big family, where if one person needs something, then someone else can help, someone else can reach out. No one is coming to our aid like that yet. Look, I'm hearing leaders talk a little bit, but it's more like rattling. It's more like rattling in the just to show that, oh, I'm tough. I'm a little bit tough on these Europeans in the open, because they know that we are listening to them. They know that we are watching them, and we are watching them keenly, because we want to see who's gonna stand up and say enough of this nonsense, and build systems so that we can organize intelligently so that we can produce our own cell phones. We can produce ways to protect ourselves. We can produce laws to protect ourselves, new laws. They're not doing that yet. So what is law really is intelligent organization at the end of it, at the end of that whole
thing. Architect, the civil rights movement happened because people came together and they kept coming together. And it took decades, but they kept coming together. And we're like, we're going to cross that bridge. Now, I'm just talking about Pettus Bridge in Alabama. They wouldn't let them cross. We're going to cross that bridge. We're going to cross that bridge. We're going to cross that bridge. It took blood. It took death. It took a lot. But they like, we're going to cross that bridge. And I'm just saying, so how many people over there are going to cross over that border and cross over the border and cross over the border? And unfortunately, in battle, there will be casualties. Mm-hmm. And the question is it worth the casualties to change? Because the government is not going to change until they get tired that these people will not stop. Mm-hmm. And then they'll tweak something to give you a little bit of something. And they'll take a movement. But a movement, the only way it succeeds is it never stops putting the pressure on. Because these leaders are all entertaining themselves at the same tables, eating the same food, listening to reading the same, they're comfortable. They have no reason to change. I'm in power. And they don't want change, because if change comes, that means I'm going to be kicked out of my little nice cushy seat. So then the people over there ain't gonna answer my phone no more. So they have no incentive to change.
No, because because the patterns are working for them, but they're not the one. They're not the ones that need to interrupt the patterns. We are the ones that need to interrupt the patterns because they're not working for us, right? That's why the concept of pattern interrupt is so important, and it's also important to go back and study the people now who interrupt these patterns, to see what we can learn from them, to see how we can go forward and advance. And as the problems advance, then the ways of interrupting the patterns are also advanced as well.
And you guys are lucky because the information is there. You have centuries worth of information that's at your fingertip to use to help you. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, because that's the one thing about the West. The West has never reinvented the wheel. We may put in another suitcase or a pretty little suit, but it's still the same wheel that's been rolling over and over and over again. Same game plan. So therefore, it's easy for them because they don't have to do anything different.
Yeah, same game plan.
We need to stop looking at the history as being, oh, that's back then. That's No, it's the same stuff you're dealing with today.
Mm-hmm. Same plan. Sorry, go ahead. If someone is going, I can't really see.
I mean, it's the same game plan. So we got to stop being, because I've been on a couple of, you're like, oh, you old. The old people have wisdom. We're not saying what you young folks are doing is, that you don't know anything, but we know the game plan that they used. So we may be able to see the chess move a little clearer than you guys.
Yeah.
Don't throw away your history and knowledge. You never know what it was sparking you. And we have to stop doing it as a people, like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, no, this, and getting caught up in all this superficial nuttiness and see that it's still the same game plan.
Yep.
They have not stopped doing what they did 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 1,000 years ago. It's the same, just in a prettier little package.
Yeah, exactly. The problems are advancing as well as like their actions are advancing. You hear how that guy recently talked about how Europe is a garden and the rest of the world is a jungle.
And you just say, oh, you know what? You're absolutely right. So stay out of my jungle, man. And keep moving.
And he said that we have to go to the jungle. The guy said we have to go to the jungle because the jungle is going to invade the garden. This is how they think. This is how they think. in their head, it's only them alone. It's only them alone can build a garden. So in order for us to keep our garden, we have to keep everyone else in a jungle. That's the idea that I'm getting at with this guy. Actually, I'm gonna actually put him right here on the screen right now. But oh yeah, before we continue, I want to tell you guys I won't be here too long. So I'm thinking at 4 o'clock I will close off because it's like my only day, one of my only days off.
Okay.
Right.
And you got pick your signs to make.
Yeah. Let me share my screen with you. One second.
While you're sharing the screen, notice he was speaking to the next generation of people who would be formulating foreign policy, so that they have a continuity plan.
Exactly. Like it never stops with them. It never stops. It just keeps going. But I'm not.
And so the question is, why don't we have that same kind of plan? Why don't we have that continuity?
You know why? Because we are like professionals at having a one-day revolutions. See, revolutions are not just, it don't just happen. It has to be maintained.
Right.
And I'm not talking about,
you won one battle doesn't mean you won the war.
Exactly. And I'm not even talking about anything that has to do with like actual war. I'm talking about when you find somebody is distorting the image of your continent or something, you can't just decide that you're gonna put them in their place and just leave it as that. There must be some form of system that continues that motion, so that wherever you in any area of human activity that you have that revolution is being maintained by something or someone in that area of human activity that keeps it going. That's what I think is missing most of the time when we talk about revolution and those things. It's not just one; it has to be maintained. I'll show you.
What's that?
I just wanted to see
Yes, Europe is
I just wanted to see this video again because it's just like, it's so like right in your face, you know?
A garden. We have built a garden. Everything works. It's the best.
Okay, before I continue, I want you guys to actually gonna tie this into my lesson today, because he said we have built a garden. But how? What is this garden? This garden, what he's talking about, is a mode of production. We have built a mode of production around Europe that keeps the rest of the world in a jungle, but we are taking the resources from the jungle in order to build our garden. This is what this guy is saying, you know. It's a whole mode of production still that's happening. That's what he's talking about.
He just want to make sure that supply chain never ceases.
Exactly. That's what, and it's like they say it in such calm ways, like it doesn't even feel like it's something dangerous, you know. It feel like they're supposed to be.
No, they're gonna do that because I gotta make my people feel comfortable that their way of life is not going to be disturbed, no matter how many disturbances are going on other places. That only happens in the jungle. We're okay over here. Because they don't want no mass hysteria.
Wow. It's just so amazing. It's amazing to me how they talk, man. It's amazing. I just can't even get over it.
They're not governed by any ethical principles. It's survival of the fittest. We are entitled to your resources, and it's your fault for being too docile to try to stop us.
Because it's all your fault. You, the homies, put me over here in America for what, bag of chili beans or something like that. So I'm not responsible for it.
Let's hear the rest of it now.
Gulf freedom, economic prosperity, and social cohesion that the humankind has been able to build. The three things together. And here Bruges is maybe the good representation of beautiful things, intellectual life, well-being. The rest of the world, and you know very well, Federica, is not exactly a garden. The rest of the world, most of the rest of the world is a jungle.
So there we hear, guys. There we heard it. Jungle guys. You jungle guys over here don't know how to build a garden, so we have to take from you. We have to take from you and build our garden, because when we build our garden, then we can keep you as a jungle and make you think that this normalized insanity is real.
But no, but architect is one step even deeper than that, because I don't know, what you guys seen over there, but I know you, Maria Antoinette, knows the infamous hero, Tarzan of the jungle, had to go over there and run around St. James from every little mishap. And all the indigenous people over there were just running around in their little, shirtless and pounding on drums. So it's like the world. So it's that same imagery. I mean, how they keep recycling it over and over and over again. You're in a jungle, that means you're inferior. You're in a jungle, that means you do not have the wherewithal to develop anything. You're in a jungle, you are primitive. And they want to constantly keep that narrative going over and over and over. And by saying those words, they know it hits us like, well, look at it. We don't have, so maybe he's right. Maybe I am primitive.
Exactly. And I'm gonna show you guys something that I had from my last lesson last week. I was saying how these patterns need to be interrupted. Let me see. Hold on 1 second. How we can interrupt these patterns. These ones specifically, like what this guy is talking about, like jungle, comparing jungle with comparing the jungle with the garden and all those kind of things. I'll show you guys how I think these things must be interrupted. So how I think it got to be interrupted is like this. See? So we gotta start playing on the same chessboard with all these organizations, because they're taking over the chessboard. And these organizations are here to take over the chessboard. They're not here to play fair with you or play intellectual with you, like how some of our people think. They're here to take over. That's how they take over.
Yeah.
They just
I played chess only a couple of times. Didn't do too bad because I wasn't even good at it. But anyway, besides the point. But you know how when you play chess and that person who is the master chessman, or whatever you call those guys, start to be defeated by somebody that they feel is inferior to them, what do? Take the board and throw everything on the ground. So you see.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, but you see what their behavior is. So you need to start studying them as much as they study you.
That's what I always say. You see that? That's what the AU is supposed to be doing right now. Coming on this chessboard and saying, no, you're not gonna have your way with these people here. You world economic this and your international this. You're not gonna have your way with our people because you want to build some umbrella organizations. No, we're gonna come in front of you and make sure that we have a say on top here too. That's what the AU is supposed to be doing.
But the AA is, but you gotta understand, if the capital was, if you're letting somebody else build your capitals, if you're letting somebody build your parliament, that person is in control of that building, not you. So those should be signaled to people. If someone else is coming here doing this, are they really representing me?
Well, exactly.
Just because they fed me a chicken dinner at the end of the meeting, am I really getting anything besides this chicken dinner? The truth is always in front of you. It's that sometimes it's hard for us to swallow that truth.
I think Mary Antoinette is gone. Are you gone?
No, she's still here. She just on mute.
Okay.
No, I'm here,
Yeah,
but I'm not responding when I'm trying to unmute. Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Biggie.
Oh, we have Biggie. Oh, see, you said you was leaving in 30 minutes. Now Biggie is in here. I don't know if that's going to work, Architect.
That's okay. That's okay. I could hand over the session to him.
Okay.
So Biggie. No, Biggie can't get unmute right now. That's probably what happened in here.
Well, you know, we all got, you know, I don't want to say what.
The Wi-Fi isn't working the way it used to. These days, I'm having a lot of trouble, and it seems to be
everybody who's having the same type of trouble, which
yes,
I'm gonna go on mute for 1 minute.
Strange coincidence.
I'm gonna go on mute for 1 minute. 1 second. My mother just called me.
Okay. You know, but it's just interesting how we have to start to change in order for things to change, and can't trust and believe that someone else is going to make the changes for us.
I agree.
And it's going to hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
But in the end, you know, again, it's going to be foreign for some of us to have to learn how to take responsibility, because for many, many, many decades, we'd never had to.
That's true.
But it's going to benefit us. And it's nothing that we haven't experienced in a former lifetime. So it's doable. We just have to be committed to doing it.
Yes.
Because it's not like this system we're in right now. We don't get uncomfortable or have to deal with things that we didn't find unpleasant, and yet we deal with it with a big smile and a grin and push through it.
Yeah.
And stop looking for your brother to do all the work and think I can now come to the table after you did all the work. No, we all have to do the work.
Yeah, I agree. I think we lost Biggie. Yeah, I'm not seeing him anymore.
Oh, yeah, he might be having those connection issues. I wonder if he somewhere where he doesn't have a good connection.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully he'll come back. Because I haven't been on as regular as I've been in the past, so I haven't seen Big E in a minute.
Mm-hmm. But,
how's everything going with you, Maria Antoinette?
Oh, it's okay. You know, I'm doing a lot of work in my garden, and right now I have to deal with the fungus that everybody said is the result of climate change, and yeah, it's a lot of work.
Is it climate change or these genetically modified entities that they call food nowadays?
Yeah, I'm thinking perhaps the sweet pepper, the bell pepper plant that I bought may have been a GMO plant, because the bell peppers didn't last long in the refrigerator at all. So
they just turned to mush. They didn't mold. They just turned to mush.
Yes.
Yeah, that's GMO. Yep.
Oh, good grief!
and that you got a major battle on your hand, because once it gets into
yeah.
I had gotten a plant. I might have said this before, but I had gotten a plant for, I went to farmers market and they had these little tomato seedlings. I'm like, oh yeah, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I need to learn how to plant something. Oh, do you want one? Do you want one? Do you want one? I'm like, okay, fine, I'll take one. Put it in my just a little corner, because again, it's only a tiny seedling in my backyard. It changed everything. These weeds start sprouting up. I don't even think I got a tomato off of it.
Wow.
And I haven't been living with these weeds for over 11 years.
I'm going to get rid of the plants because it's not producing any more bell peppers anyway. It came with 2 on it, and I've had no progress with it since then.
Yeah, get rid of it. And
hello, ladies.
Hello, Biggie.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Biggie.
How are you guys doing?
We're fine, thank you.
All right. Good, good. I was trying to come in, but I'm in some mountainous area, so I got a little area not covered. So I hear the conversation that's going on in the back, and I don't know if Ridge's still there. And I was waiting, and
I'm still here, just having a small conversation with my mother. Just now, I'll be with you guys.
oh, say hello.
Could you... Oh, you're breaking up. Sorry, Biggie.
You can hear me now.
I can hear you a little.
Okay. Seems like this thing is being not 100%. I don't know. It looks like I have a good coverage, but sometimes I don't know about the internet. That's not the issue.
I think we're all having a little connection problems today.
Yeah, and since the upgrading and everything else here, it's kind of really hard to tell what they're upgrading and what they're dropping. Because the 5G is still on the move, you know. They keep upgrading the system and taking some of the 3G out. So, you're on one land. From West Virginia, Charleston area. It's a lot of mountains. A lot of mountains. Yeah, you know, I was listening to some of the conversation, but the last 10, 15 minutes, I don't know what happened. Get updated on it. See that? How?
I'm so sorry. I can't hear. It's really breaking up a lot.
Right. Well, let me see if I can get this in a minute or two.
Okay, I'll just read while I'm waiting for Biggie and the architect and BJ. I'll read one of the comments by Wiberust Fanta. Welcome to the show.
I'm here. I'm here. If you guys want Biggie. Biggie, how are you, Biggie?
He's having some connection problems. He's in an area with little coverage.
Man, where are you, man? Jeez. Oh, he cut off again. But BJ gone too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hope that this lesson was. I wish Biggie can come back on so I could hear what he have to say. But I have a couple more minutes here. I'll go at 4.
Okay, well, you can explain the BJ, welcome back.
What did you want me to explain, Mary Antoinette?
The chessboard. You were explaining something with the AU on the chessboard.
So what I was saying is that the chessboard represents how we interact with people in the world, like how people are using their skills of building organizations in order to make sure that they come into Africa legally this time to take what is ours. That's what the chessboard represents, right? And I'm saying And what I'm saying with the chessboard is that instead of letting these, I'll show you something. Instead of letting these organizations that begins with these umbrella terms like world and united and international and those things, global, instead of letting these organizations come into our continent with their so-called names, but we all know they're no different than they are the Christians that think they came to civilize us. These organizations
exactly. Exactly. So it should be the non-World Health Organization, the ununited nations.
Well, not just that, but it has. We have to also the reason why I have this AU thing over is because we have to also build organizations that will play on the same chessboard, that we can defend ourselves in different arenas. So World Economic Forum, they shouldn't be coming to us to tell us nothing. We should have all the intelligence already, all the information, all that we know we need to get to defend ourselves, to grow ourselves, and to keep ourselves rooted in whatever direction we want ourselves to be rooted in, and so that we can control our destiny. We shouldn't have these organizations here talking about the community and tell us how our economy gonna look in like 10 years, because they never had good news in the first place, and we don't want to hear no more of their nonsense anymore. So the United Nations, even these organizations I'm talking about, if you look at it, guys, every organization that have an umbrella term is infiltrated with white supremacists.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely.
Because all of them, because this is a front, but that's what this is. When you say united, when you say international, it's not just a word; it's a spell. It makes you feel like everyone is included when you say International Criminal Court. But 90-something% of the people that are tried in the International Criminal Court are Black people, African people. So
if you look even deeper than that, those are the ones who defied them. They're not even the ones who are actually doing the heinous crimes, because there may be some out there. They don't care about them. It's the ones who defied their orders.
It's a court run by the countries that commit war crimes. That's what it is.
Exactly. So you'll have a person who was involved in the Rwanda genocide, living as a free businessman in France, but no French official is being held accountable for the fact that they know that the people living in France, and they wouldn't send them back for trial in Rwanda. That itself is a crime. But that's kind of off of what I'm saying. Let's go back to the United Nations. The United Nations in Congo, right? Is no different than when the French took Algerians to fight their wars, you know. Because if you look at the United Nations peacekeeping soldiers, they're soldiers from all over the world. They're not from Europe, you know. Most of the times these soldiers none of them are even from Europe. They're from Pakistan, India. People who don't understand nothing about Africa, our Africa problems, are the ones who they are putting under these umbrella organizations to do their dirty work, to collect intelligence, to disrupt supply chains, to disrupt cultural tensions. These are the people who they are sending there to prevent these, so-called prevent these things, but nothing is being prevented and no improvement is being done. So I see these organizations as organizations with umbrella terms because, as I said, the English language itself is a spell. When you hear international, you think you're included. When you hear united, you think you're included. When you hear global, you think you're included. Like this organization right here, this was a new organization just created, you know. They just created these organizations to invest where? To invest in our continent, to invest in Africa. And it's not called European Gateway. It's called Global Gateway. So when you think about it, you never really know who is behind it because it's global. You think that it includes you. You don't know that this is another supply chain that's being that's pulling out resources out of our continent that's not benefiting us at all. That's what this is.
So, and the thing about it is that
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
They're telling you exactly what they are. It's a gateway for them to get the same resources out of your country.
And also, I think that
and distribute it to the world globally.
But I think that we also have to also think about it this way, right? And say to ourselves, how come these people are worrying about where they're gonna get their gas from, where they're gonna get their heat from, where they're gonna get food from this winter, and they still have so much money to create an organization that could be a global gateway into the continent? They want to give so much to us.
Because because there's not a lack of resources anywhere on this planet. There's just a lack of empathy to make sure that everybody on this planet has the resources that they need. So they throw out all this false narrative, and you're supposed to go and run and hide behind it. When just be truthful. When they're being truthful, this is a global gateway. Meaning, if it doesn't come through this gateway, you can't get it. And that's where the lack of resources is going to come from. It's not a physical one. It's a mental.
Exactly. Let's welcome Biggie again. Biggie, how are you? Can you hear us now?
I'm doing fine.
Why are you just running away from us?
I'm trying to talk to you guys between mountains.
You hiding in the mountains. Okay.
Yeah, can't get through these mountains.
No, you're not supposed to.
Yeah, how you guys doing?
Oh, we're good. We're good.
Doing good, man. We're doing good, Biggie.
I'm practicing so I can move the mountains in here.
Hey, if it's not in the Bible, it says just with your words you can move mountains.
Yes, it's one thing that he said. If your mind and emotion are one, you can tell that mountain to go to the ocean, it will go. But nobody asked me. You said nobody asked me yet.
Hey Biggie, I'm gonna be here until about 4, but I don't know if one of you guys want to take over, even Paula, one of you guys. But what do you think about the topic?
Come back again.
What do you think about the information? I know you came late, so we was talking about.
Yeah, I was listening in between.
Oh, great. What do you think about it?
No. Give me the last few minutes. I couldn't get the access.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Okay, no problem. So what I was saying in this topic is that the world itself is a circuit, right? From what you can see here, the world is a circuit, and if you consider the world a circuit, then the avalanche.
Again, hold on 1 second. I don't know what happened to this thing. Just give me 1 second. Again, I lost the connection.
Okay. BJ, did you understand what the whole topic was about, right? I think he was here for most of it.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, you can hear me. Go ahead, BJ.
Well, the part that I was coming in at, it was mostly about how we're letting all these foreign entities, the International Monetary Fund, the World Health Organizations, coming in, putting in their policies, their proposals, and again, time and time again, is not benefiting anyone on the continent. We have our leaders who are saying they're leading when all we're seeing is that they're leading all your riches into these international entities, sending their people over in different phases to monitoring that those resources are being sent over and to keep conditions the way they are and the way they've been for the last hundreds of years.
Yeah. The comment that I want to put, you see, I had this thought process. So when I got a little bit getting lost, I got frustrated and I lost with my thought process. But on this thing, the first thing that I would ask is for people to understand that the world right now that we live in is a lying world. Okay, don't trust everything that you hear. Okay, so we're gonna need to create our own reality, our own propaganda, our own way of doing things. And if we reach out enough throughout the continent and as well in the abroad, what's going to happen is, let's say, I'll put a propaganda. Let's say there's a chicken
In
that
every part.
hatched. Yeah, in every part, right? So, but this one is like, I'll say, she's got 100 egg in one shot. Okay, what's going to happen? I'm going to tell that news to a reliable news in the nation, and make it sound real. Okay, and maybe we take 100 eggs around it, and take a picture. You don't need no filming, nothing. They just put pictures. Have you noticed, if they don't have enough evidence, they'll put some pictures that's not related to anything. In fact, when you Google it, you find out that the picture was taken about 10, 15 years ago. So what we do is, we do our own narrative. We start our own narrative, knowing that we're going to put that out to the world. So in order to counter that, they're going to have to come up with the reality, and they'll counter interact with that to cancel your saying. So what you want to do is, it's kind of have a twisted tongue. You show them this, you show one part, but you're doing something else. By the time the propaganda goes, by the time they try to defeat it, they're going to come out with the truth out of it. So they systematically create propaganda, okay, and make believe, and they use their networks. The average Joe Blow is going to be watching CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, name it. All these BBCs, all these things are going to be echoing the same thing. If you really cut the first piece of what one says, and then you go to the next station, he'll repeat the same sentence. Okay? So we Africans, we should have our own narrative to repeat it over and over without truth within the continent. If I have something that is good in my continent, in my nation, I gotta pass it to the continent, and we're gonna pick our own networks to pass this information. And because we want to be distuned, not distuned really, but it's good sometimes to hear certain information that happens locally, but at the same time, the local part of it is masked with different things. So if it is Africa that we are concerned, we're going to have to think about African affairs and share information within the African networks, not the one that's going to be kissing ass to the West or any other big outfit, but at least that has also a little bit of influence. Let's say there are reporters that work for BBC and as well independent freelancers. So they'll narrate the story the way they've been told. But if we can give them that information and they pass it on, now it's up to them to say yes or no. But for us within the continent, we got our medias that can echo the real thing that's going on back and forth, and that'll be the reality and the truth. Even though they're gonna try to counter on you, there was a station that I was looking, and I saw them very supportive on what's going on in Ethiopia and Eritrea. Suddenly they turn around and they make them like, oh, they start repeating the word genocide, and I just counter interject them and said, no, you got to get the real story. Don't listen to this, and they're telling me that you heard it from reliable source, and when you check your fact, your reliable source is New York's Times. So don't tell me that you did your thorough investigation. So we're gonna have to catch these kind of transmission, even though they have a lot better insight, but some of the information when it comes to African affairs, they don't dig in enough. They just echo enough to put that, oh, we talked about this country, about Mali, about Ethiopia, Somalia. So they highlight that, But when you hear that, you have to really turn back and give your comment and educate those kind of channels not to really be in competition with the big networks, because you're repeating the false narratives. So we as Africans in diasporas, we have to look at stations. They have good backing into certain truth, but at the same time, when it comes to the African, they're not informed as really as even the African stations. They have to have a solid information to just say, okay, I got this, and it's a major breakthrough. This is what we got as a headline, and this is what we're dealing with. In order to do that, especially that comes from the nation that he lives in, it's very imperative it better be true. If it is an Ethiopian talking about Nigerian, I just want to check my Ethiopian journalist. Hey, where did he get that information? Okay, but at least it's African, and I'm gonna go back. Is that a true statement? Then you're gonna go to the Nigerian side and confirm if that story on the ground is true. So we have to have this cross and balances, because we are terrible. We are terrible into counter measure on propaganda. We kind of
Exactly.
with the way I see it, we just get pissed off and we didn't do nothing about it.
Exactly.
But anything that's in writing, stick on you.
And that's why I have this thing on the screen, because that's one area of human activity that the pattern has to be interrupted in. Like, we can't have people telling us about what's happening in our home. Like, what kind of thing is that? Like what kind of man let someone tell them what's happening in their home? I mean, the man is in your home too. You know what I mean? So
listen,
that's why
Ridge,
yeah.
right now, this week, okay, we're having differences among Westerns, America versus Europe, and Europeans are fighting, and they really said, hey, you see, if EU is scared shitless, excuse my French, okay, about America moves, what make you think that they're gonna back down from Africa?
Well, that's
look
why
at
this.
Look at where they're going. They're going to Haiti.
Yeah.
So Haiti is another issue.
That's what this is all about. That's what this organization here is all about. The Global Gateway. It's about them investing more in Africa now. They're even building those CC vaccination places in Africa now. So they're telling us what they're gonna inject us with. They're funding it. And that's being allowed. So that's what I'm saying. These patterns must be interrupted in order for us to live out our full, for us to have control of our destiny, for us to be able to actually combat these people. It has to be interrupted. Otherwise, we're gonna be doomed. That's all I could think about.
You know what? I think now you just said something that puts me onto what's happened in American history. The arch in Missouri was called the Gateway. It was the gateway to the West. Maybe they're talking about the gateway to Africa.
Yeah, but
it'll be the Wild West all over again, and the mass migration.
Another thing that that Europe is going to suffer during this winter, and specifically their growth, the GDP, and all that is going to be smashed out. So they're going to have to come up with second thought that anything that comes from America is going to be expensive. It's going to be very expensive. So they can now move around their industries, that you can easily, I call them portable industries, and they're targeting now countries that can produce that product for them, okay, which is a low cost, okay, and they're targeting one. Rich, I heard they said Ethiopian. They're looking into Ethiopia.
Wow.
And now they're trying to really ease about the conflicts and everything else because they got an aim and targets where they're going to put those small industries so they won't shut down permanently. So they're trying to use African continent because they send it to China. That's another controversy. Okay, they already got Chinese production too, but they want to send those specifics to African nations where they can bargain on the cheap labor too. Okay,
and then
there's an
on top of
opportunity.
that, if they're going to produce a lot of pollution, just like in China, trying to generate these industries.
Right, and now Africa is the next really target. Even though they tell you do not create any factories and stuff like that because of the climate change, but now since they're forced on really, it's very detrimental for their existence on when it comes to the world economy because they're going to be smashed. They're not if they don't have any of those Russian gas to come in, and you're just gonna keep exporting on the U.S. side. It's $200 million, from 100 million to $200 million. It's 4 times the price that you have in the market.
But you
With
know,
that
Biggie,
price,
Before you go,
when you said that they're telling you not to create any industrial complexes because of global warming, I pray that you guys don't listen to that, because the bottom line is what they're literally telling you is don't create no industry because of global warming, because we're going to create it for ourselves and we're going to control it.
Yeah, BJ, we know about that. They're using that as a weapon. Okay,
yeah,
we know that.
Yeah.
So let me tell you something. Now Europe is gonna go for heating purposes. They're gonna be using coal. If they go using coal, then you're back to the controversial topics. They're gonna do it when it benefits them. So we know about that. We know they're using that as a way not to get Africa to be industrialized or to use a certain industry. Okay, we come in all green. You think they're gonna be happy? No, 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 no. This is gonna cause you're moving people from here, from there, and then they slam you with the human rights issues. Okay, because they became efficient.
Which then gives them a clean entryway to come in and do whatever they want to do. Because we need to investigate what's going on.
Right. So for us now, when there's, I call it opportunity for the African nations, that now you become like Russia was. Russia gave them the free, the low cost gas, oil, whatever. But we give them all the factory that they don't want us to have because of this crisis. We're gonna have those factories, and we cash in on that.
Exactly.
Do you understand? We cash in on the building of those industries.
Okay, but also I want you guys to know, like, when they say climate change and global gateway is not much different. Climate change is being used as a weapon. That's why they use. That's why they're using right now against Uganda and Tanzania, because it's a weapon for them. They don't give a shit. They don't care about climate change. If they care about climate change, then they will stop making bombs. Then, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but right now, but right now they are in jeopardy. So they're gonna have to give a green light to that Uganda Tanzanian pipeline, because now they can have a cheaper oil things that's gonna come through Tanzania, go through the Suez Canal. Right there, you're on the Mediterranean.
Exactly, but
actually, it's a shortcut.
Biggie, sorry, I want you guys to actually remember every time you see supply chain, replace it with mode of production. There's a mode of production in place that says that Europeans can come to other people's places and take their natural resources and turn them into products and sell them back to them for 100% profit. The same way that they came and met religion in Africa, they took it, they started it, and then they came and sold it back to us. It's the same thing they're doing with the resources. So every time you see supply chain, just replace it with mode of production. Go ahead, Biggie.
Right. So this is the time that while they're changing the narrative to benefit them, this is the time for Africa to put together a package where they all can really say, okay, Europe, you want us to produce this? You want us to do this? You want us to do? What's the contract? Who's going to be overseeing those contracts? You see what I'm saying? It's not something that they're going to be dismantling everything, taking them back, or, whatever.
Biggie,
you see what I'm saying?
Biggie, are you gonna be here for a while? Because I gotta go.
I'm gonna be dropping because I'm driving through those mountains.
Okay.
Marie Antoinette, do you have the real quick? Either Marie Antoinette or BJ, do you have the admin?
No, I don't.
Okay. For me, even if I drop, you guys can maintain the conversation.
I think.
We can close the show and continue next time. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to extend it, because I can come back. Every time that I have an open is going to come back, and I can close out the session too.
Okay.
If you guys want to talk further.
No, it's okay. If you want to, you can do a show later. But I don't mind closing for now.
I accidentally blocked one of those guys on top there. I'm so sorry, guys. I was trying to block a comment there and I blocked someone else.
Right.
But yeah, I could I mean, it's a good topic, but it's just that I gotta go.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna be listening maybe in a couple more hours also because I have to make a run like after I come back. If you guys want to stay, I think Paul is here. Paul can give access to whoever he wants to. But I will close in a prayer for myself, and then I will leave you guys there. If you guys want to come back in the night, that's fine.
What time you said to come back?
Oh, anything you want, anything you guys want to come back, just come back and have a discussion. I will join whenever I have free time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, you close it out then because it's your session. So put a little prayer for us, and
yeah,
it was a good topics, but unfortunately I couldn't really attend it 100% because I think we're gonna continue this conversation. This conversation is very important. This is the time that I cannot emphasize that this is the time that we can seize the opportunity.
Yes.
And Africans got to be really, really aware on what's coming down because eventually they want it to be right there in Africa, then taking it to Europe, to other places because everything is going to be very expensive.
Yeah, of course, and it's getting more and more difficult for people to actually survive in this world, and then they want to make you feel happy with owning nothing. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and I call this a naked eye lie. I never seen so much liars in my life or my whole life.
You haven't been living in America for long, have you?
And then he say, you're grown men. You are grown men. You lying to the teeth, and you destroying things, and you still lie about it. It's just incredible. I mean, this is the
they
most.
have been educated
This
in
is
the
the most.
system, and they learn very well because that's what you do. Pass the buck and keep lying and wear a nice suit and everybody think you pretty and they trust you because of the way you look.
Yeah, I told you that my dad told me, God bless his soul. He said, if you want to be a good politician, he said you better be good liar. Okay, he make it look so real that you're gonna deliver that, right? But now it's not that. My dad would be shocked if he hears all this open lie. I mean, literally open lie. That I mean, even when they reported it on the networks, even the networks, I think even the anchor guy, when he repeats something, if you look at him, the way he reads,
he
and
don't
the way
even
she
look
reads,
like he. Are you really serious?
He's not happy about it. He's not, because this is blatant lie.
Yeah, they're not even trying to be coy with it. They just up in your face, flat out.
Yeah, flat out. I mean, before it's a promise, it's a do.
We're looking
They
into it, and we're doing some research. Or
they can't hide anymore. They can't hide anymore. That's the issue. That's I'm telling you, like 3/4 of this war is already won because information history is being written in real time. That's our biggest. That's our biggest weapon that we have against them right now. That history is being written in real time right now. No one can hide our history. No one can hide what they do anymore because as soon as they do it, everyone find out about it. No one can hide all the bad deeds that they have done for years and years and years. No one can hide that anymore. These are also what I call pattern interrupts. The fact that the internet has come and given us information in real time is a powerful weapon because we can combat them when they try to tell lies about us. When they try to tell lies about what they do, we can combat them, you know?
And you know, architect, it is biblical. It's definitely biblical because the veil has been dropped and they can't pick it up and cover themselves anymore.
And that's
and again, you know, it has to be biblical because you know they don't want it. A natural born liar does not want to tell the truth. And now they're forced to tell the truth, whether they want to or not.
Exactly. And you know, that's why they're talking about garden and jungle now, because they want to give the image like, hey, we've been doing this because we're trying to build a garden here, you know. That's why we build a garden, you know what I mean, guys? So just in case you're thinking about Europe as a bad place, just remember this is a garden and the rest of the world is a jungle, okay? And the jungle is
because they gotta sugarcoat it. We gotta sugarcoat. Let's put the pink paint back on and pick up the old rickety white picket fence and put some little plastic flowers in the garden and make ourselves look pretty again.
Yeah, exactly. So with that said, I don't know. Oh, Marie Antoinette, you look like you wanted to say something.
Rich. No, I just wanted to share with you a link, not for this evening, but for another show, or it's just addressing the possibility of the nuclear war starting. It's Mr. Lavrov speaking.
Oh, yeah, I like
what I wanted to share.
Okay, no problem. That sounds
you
good.
know, Rich, yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Yesterday, there was a nuclear airplane. You know, we don't know whether it has the nuke or not, but it was flying. It's a Russian flight, and it was flying over the Pacific. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he dropped off.
We lost Biggie.
Yeah. Well, I will ask you guys just to give me your last word on this whole topic and everything. Tell me what I can improve on. I don't know if you guys have advice for me, something like that, because I'm new to the video, like YouTube video stuff. So if you guys have any advice or last words, let me know.
I love it. I love the fact that you have all this information out there. I mean, if you want to add links in the comment section so that people could go out there and check it out themselves. You know, other than that, it's been a fantastic show, and thank you for allowing me to be on it. I mean, these are important topics, and you know, you're definitely putting information out for people to start thinking. You know, start thinking about what your choices are, what you're doing, because it has a huge impact. And again, things have not changed that much. The only thing changed, like in any store, any brand, any product. Only thing changes the packaging. The stuff in the inside is all the same. So if we want change, that means we have to do something about it.
Nice.
I really enjoyed the show. I don't mind assisting with providing links for the audience in the next show. I can do that. Yeah, I'm very pleased with the format.
Oh, thank you so much. A lot of these things are what I've had in my head for so long, and I believe, like, I read this book. It's called The Game of Life and How to Play It, and in that book, he talk about how wealth, health, love, and one thing that people always miss all the time, he said a perfect self-expression. So he said wealth, health, life, love, and perfect self-impressions are the key to life. And I think that's what a lot of people missing is the last one, perfect self-expression.
Yeah.
Because they will block you, they will delete your profile if you have if you're allowed to have perfect self-expression. It works. It's counterproductive to whatever world that these people are trying to create, and that's why a lot of
Because
people are
they don't
missing.
want you to interrupt their agenda, you know?
Exactly.
So because again, over here we're distracted by my waistline, my shoe size, and the label I have on me. And you run around in a circle trying to be whatever instead of really looking at substantive issues and how's it affecting your community, which are really, really important. But they'll keep you distracted with, whatever to keep you from doing anything to change what's going on.
Exactly. Biggie, last word, Biggie.
Yes, sorry about that. I think when I talked about those nukes, the whole thing crashed down. And I'm telling you, my phone is my other phone. This is on my second phone that I'm talking to you because that one was overheating.
Ah.
Believe it or not, it was overheating. I'm like, uh-oh.
Uh-oh, your topic is all hot. It's burning up the phone.
I don't know what it was doing, but I try to stay away from that channel then. But anyway, what they said was, "Oh, it's okay. It's nothing. It's not threatening." I'm like, "What? You have one flying over the Pacific, and saying it did not enter the airspace,
No fly
and is
zone.
nuke capable, and it's nuke capable." The movie hitting you, they tell you seeing it, and they tell you don't look up. Don't look
Oh
up.
yeah, like
It's
it's
not
a
real.
pause. Me looking up is what
It's
they'll
not
hurt me.
real. Yeah, it's not real.
It sounds like a
you
movie.
know?
You can trust us.
Yeah, well,
Don't Look Up.
I mean,
You ever seen that?
people,
You
are,
guys,
you know, I
you guys
talk.
seen that movie Don't Look Up?
What's that?
You guys seen that movie Don't Look Up?
The Holocaust?
Don't Look Up. Have you seen that movie Don't Look Up?
Oh yeah, don't look
No.
up. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, I watched that movie. Don't look up with DiCaprio.
BJ, you should
Okay,
watch it.
they're telling. Yeah,
Okay.
and do you know? Hey, Rich, do you
Yeah.
know NASA had deflected an asteroid, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they use a satellite to deflect an asteroid. That was about 4 weeks ago. Do you know they got hashtag do not look up. Don't look up.
Wow.
It's in the NASA page.
Wow.
I'll bring that topic another time. But it says hashtag look up. That's how they referred for the deflection of the asteroid.
Wow.
And I was yes, I was
So
like
what are
blown
they afraid
away.
of us? What are they so afraid that we will see looking up?
Well, you know, if you see that movie, people they were brainwashing people saying, "Oh no, it never hit the, it's not gonna hit it, not gonna hit it," and they got the whole world that's shooting all these missiles. I mean, nuclear missiles, and it didn't bulge. And they said it's too late. It's in the atmosphere, right? And you can see it penetrating. And they were telling people, "Don't look up, don't worry. It's just you know, kind of visual illusion, you know."
Right.
and
It's not
and
real.
people are yeah, and people are looking up and they're not moving. They're not doing anything because they got so brainwashed. The same thing that's happening right now about this war, and people are taking it easy about the nuclear war. People don't understand. This is, you know, the smallest one, the smallest nuke that they can use is 137 times than the
Bigger than
Hiroshima.
Hiroshima.
Exactly.
So in
So
other words,
people
if
are
it hit
talking
anywhere
about it.
over here, the states are gone. Parts of
That's
Yeah,
Canada.
they're talking about, you know, something very small. You don't. No, people got to stand up. This is our life. It doesn't matter whether you're African, whether you're European. This thing is nuts.
It does. It's not colorblind. It's taking everybody.
Well,
exactly. It's the same thing.
Now, you know what? Then I think that this is a perfect time for people to start to see Europeans for who they actually are. The European government, sorry, for who they actually are. They do not want anyone else to show a form of life, a form of lifestyle that is contending with this slavery that they have people in over here, because that means that their population will be asking questions. They will be asking, why are we living like this when we can be living like that? You know what I mean? And they don't want that to happen. They don't want that to happen because they want to make their lifestyle less slavery. They call it slavery freedom. They call it when you're deaf, you can hear. They're like everything backwards with them. Like they're calling truth, they're calling lies truth.
Yeah, and
darkness light.
But architect is more than that, because they letting other countries go into their full, productivity and evolve. You are the son
let me
of God,
tell you another story.
I want your powers to
hold
come
on,
into full effect.
Hold on, Biggie. Can you tell me I don't know. Can you tell me your last words, like what can I improve in and all those kind of things, because I really got to go. But I don't know. You guys can stay if you want to and talk about stuff, but I really got to go.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. My last word is tell the truth, spread the truth on what we need in Africa and where we at.
Yeah,
again,
exactly.
eat, sleep, drink, Africa. Period. This is the time. Wake up.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure a lot of our brothers and sisters are awake.
Oh yeah, they just want someone else to be awake with them, someone else to tell them that they're not crazy. Because I used to thought I was crazy all the time, thinking about these things.
Yeah.
But now that I met more people that understand what's happening, then it's like, oh, so now I could extend on this type of.
That you're not alone.
Yeah, exactly. Now I could extend on this kind of stuff because I don't feel like I'm alone, you know. But
we need leadership. Leadership.
Exactly. But also telling the truth is also, but telling the truth is also a pattern interrupt, you know. Telling the truth is a pattern interrupt. That's what all of our historians have done, right? That's all they have done was told the truth, because the truth is in itself is a pattern interrupt within itself, because the pattern is a pattern of lies. There's a pattern of lies that people been telling about us. There's a pattern of lies they've been telling about the whole world. So when you tell the truth, that in itself is a pattern interrupt. So really, thank you for that, Biggie.
Again, to prove you, we've been telling the truth all this time. Sacrificed over 33 assassinations. We got all that. The truth is coming out. Tell the truth. Do not have fear about the truth. We already sacrificed so many leaders because the truth that they came out before is coming out now.
Yeah,
it's a seed. They planted. So it's the seed of truth, and the seed of truth is going to come out and overtake the seed of lie, which is weed. Is going to get weed out.
Yeah.
Keep telling the truth.
Yeah.
Don't back down.
Yep. And then with that, I'm gonna close it up. We
need that as a hashtag. Nope, don't back down.
Yeah,
so
don't.
I'm gonna close with a prayer, but also I'm gonna show back those 2 videos that I want people to be reinforced about. Like, I don't want people to think that we're just talking, right? We're actually moving. So I'm gonna put back the Reimagine Africa video, and as well as the triangle video after I said my prayer. Thank you, God, for having this powerful lesson here. Even though there's not a lot of people is listening, it's the quality of the content that will reach out to people. Thank you for giving us the health, the strength, the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to actually put this together, to actually communicate with each other about it. And I hope that our conversation here will be beneficial to other people that will listen after. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Yeah, this now.
Thank you, Ridge.
Yeah, and you're very
Thank
welcome. I wish I could be longer sometimes, but honestly, it's like I chose the middle of the week and everything. You know what I mean? So it's one of my only days off. But I enjoy doing this because it helps me to express myself. You know, to other people. Oh, Pi is here. Pi is here. So let me hear what Pi have to say, and then we'll go.
Hello, everybody.
Hey,
Hello.
everyone.
I was supposed to come in earlier, but I had a lot of mandatory work, and I was asleep for like almost 10 hours, so I missed it.
Wow.
Yeah. But I had a question. Do you for one of your sessions, maybe, well, it's already planned, obviously already, but do you think we could do like a green book session, like a really deep dive? Because I know a lot about that book, man, but I never really had a chance to do something more events that's beyond the highlights of what they just do on YouTube. Number one, and number two, I think it was a few weeks ago we were talking about how, like, when Chinese people, they go to different continents, they don't look at employment, they look at deployment, they look at the areas where in the economy where the local people is not strong, and then they hire their own people. I think we should start thinking that way, like how employment would work in these different African countries and Black countries.
No, that's a good point. Like, that green book is one of the books that really touched me, like, especially because of what happened to Gaddafi, and so many people, like, I had arguments with Nigerians in university because they're thinking that Gaddafi was right for them to get rid of him. But from when I read that book and everything, I realized that this man was only one of us, people who are speaking out like this. That's why he was, but he was able to, that he controlled a country with 6 million people, but so much resources. He was able to build a system that was like not 100%, but truly in its efforts, it was truly a socialist system in its efforts. And that's why they destroy him, because as I told you guys, because they don't want anyone else to show that there's a better way to live on this earth. Because if they see it, they're gonna ask questions about where they're living, and they won't have any answer for them why they're living like that. That's why the people in Europe right now are rioting so much, because they know that this doesn't have to happen like this, but they're forcing them into that position. So that's one reason why they got rid of Gaddafi, and that's one reason why I myself bought that green book and read it. It's not even a big book, but it has so much information in it. So yeah, I have a series called Intelligent Organization, and I have another one called African Central Nervous System. So I will put it in one of those ones. I think I will put it in week 4 though, which is the African Central Nervous System, because I think that's what he was trying to build himself. When I read that book, that's the image that I get. What do you think about that, Pai?
I think it's a good idea. Yeah, at least me, like, just even based on the stuff that we talked about as far as organization, some of the stuff you talked about, I find that my life, when I'm more organized, of, like, for example, like when I'm learning a new language, like if I don't know the parts of speech of the language and it's a lot of grammar, I'm gonna fail. Like when you're not like organized on where everything is supposed to be, it's really hard to get anything done. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I like those topics there. For example, right? If you look at all the students, not even just the students, high school professionals in the diaspora, they're all doing well individually, right? But they're not working collectively to do anything that'll be able to help the people back home and to help, like, transform their own country, in my opinion. But that's because there isn't necessarily a plan to do that. But if there was a plan, it would be really, really beneficial. You know what I mean?
Of course, yes. And I think, and as I say, that's what this book taught me. This book taught me that this guy really understood what Western democracy was all about, which is, it's a representative democracy. It's not a true democracy. It's a representative democracy, which means that the people who are in power separate the power from the people. That's what they're there to do. They're there to separate the power from the people. That's it. That's why they say, when they say we are doing this for the American people, The American people have nothing to do with that. It's them who doing it. The American people have absolutely nothing to do with it. It has nothing to do with the American people. It's just like them putting.
But you know what, Architect? We need to start understanding what we are. You know, yes, they are doing it for the American people. The Gates, the Gettys, the Vanderbilts, the Carnegies, the Rockefellers, the Buffetts. These are the American people they're doing it for. So we keep including ourselves in a package that don't even include us.
Yeah, exactly. And Pai, I know that you're the last one who came. Do you have any like last comments? I wish I could stay longer.
No, not really. I have to, since I was asleep, I have to go back and watch this so that next time I can give you my real idea on this, because he just go through a lot of deep information. So no, I wanna go back to it first.
Yeah,
nothing else.
What time is it over there?
It's 4:30 a.m.
12:30.
4:30 a.m. I went to sleep at like 7 p.m.
Oh, you have the same time as me.
Okay. Really?
Yeah.
It's 4:30 a.m. where you are too? Oh, okay.
Yeah, 4:30. So, I start at 2. So I don't know if you knew or not, but next time you can come through and we can actually have like a deeper conversation, because I like people ask me questions about these things, because for me, a lot of the imagery that I show, there's a lot of, I know if it was me, I would have a lot of questions. I don't only just show words, I saw a lot of imagery as well. But this time I'll run you through this topic fast since you came here a little after. So we talk about pattern interrupts, right? And the avalanche effect. So the avalanche effect is a series, and the avalanche effect is a series, and an avalanche effect is when, in physics, when you increase the flow of electric current to a non-conductor or semiconductor solid. So it's stronger electricity force the circuit to operate in a different way. So we also have to remember that the world is a circuit, right? And if we consider the world a circuit, then the avalanche effect cannot be applied. The theory of the avalanche effect can be applied to the world and how we are living in it. We have to force ourselves in a position where the world treats us differently, approaches us differently. That's what the topic was all about. Then I went to what a pattern interrupt is. A pattern interrupt is a way to alter a person's mental, emotional, or behavioral state to break their typical habits. So you can think of it as an unexpected act of jolting electricity to something or someone. It changes the way they deal with you. You know, when you're younger and your mother tell you don't put the fork in the socket, and you keep going to put the fork in the socket, and then the only time you stop putting the fork in the socket is when the socket shocks you and it stings you. So exactly. So what we need to do, we need to judge. I think especially with Europe, Africans need to judge Europe. We need to judge them so that they understand that it can't be the same patterns that they're coming to us with now in this new generation. And that's what a pattern interrupt is, right? So I went on to say we are the patterns, and every time you see the word supply chain, you have to replace it with the word mode of production, because when you replace it with that, then you understand what a supply chain really is. A supply chain is those people who are taking resources and diamonds out of Congo in order to make expensive wedding rings. A supply chain is the coltan that's coming out of Congo in order to make cell phones in China and in Europe and in America. All those are supply chains. So you replace supply chain with mode of production and you understand what's really happening. So where these patterns need to be interrupted, they need to be interrupted in education. They need to be interrupted in economics. They need to be interrupted in entertainment. They need to be interrupted in even laws that people have. All areas of human activity, these patterns, these modes of production must be interrupted, so that instead of resources coming out of Africa, for example, to make cell phones in China and in America, these resources will then be used inside of Africa, so that in Africa, the woman that we call in Africa can be free to produce, to give birth. You understand so far, Pai?
Yes, I understand. Yeah, makes sense.
Perfect. Then I went on to say, why do we need to interrupt these patterns? And if you can see that guy up there, the first image is the guy that's stopping the domino. That's the pattern that must be interrupted. So these patterns, these images that you're seeing, is the reason why the patterns need to be interrupted, because these patterns are contributing to the underdevelopment of Africa. So if it's not contributing to us developing, then it needs to be interrupted. And it needs to be interrupted boldly, not hiding behind things and those things. We have a right to live here as human beings, not as subjects, as places that we just get that people just get resources from. It needs to be interrupted publicly and abruptly, like for real. And that's these images are showing, like, the reason why these old ladies and these little children have to be digging diamonds and coltan underground is because there's no industrialization to transfer these resources into these raw materials into products. You wanted to ask something?
Yes. Well, I don't think it's that Africa can't produce their own resources. Again, it's like you always say, there's a lack of intelligent organization, because there's a lot of Nigerians in China that I'm pretty sure are working on secret projects that obviously they can't come out to the public and tell people exactly what they're doing. But it's just that when we go to these places, whether it's the US or China or East Europe or South America, it's just the thing is, whenever we're sending, even when we're sending people in mass, it's just that we're just sending people so they can have a better life per se, right? But people, they're not addressing the underlying issue of why they had to leave in the first place, right? For example, like my dad's a computer programmer, right? But for him to have that same job in like where we live, right, in the Caribbean, it would not make close to the amount of money and be able to have the same impact of doing that job in the Caribbean, right? Mm-hmm. So I think as far as, for example, right, if you do want to be able to produce your own resource, they should be sending their students to China to learn like aviation engineering, the mining engineering, STEM. Because if you look at the I think the reports from 3 years ago, the top producers of the STEM research, like the research papers in academic journals, was from China, right? So if you send your students there en masse, right, and you don't just send them there just to have fun or do their own thing or whatever, you send them intentionally, like with scholarships and stuff, and make sure you monitor them and that they're being taken care of, right? So that now, not only do you have just your major, right, when you graduate, you can be able to use that as leverage, right? For example, let's say you catch the government overfishing in the seas, right? You could use that as a negotiation tool to say, like, okay, if you catch them, like, you could help. Well, not necessarily help. You could say, right, that they need to. We want our students to work at this mining field, or we want our students. We want to be able to eventually invest in Cosmac, right? So that we can have our own planes as well. We want to know the basics of how to build this plane. This stuff is doable, and that's something that wouldn't be given access to in the West, because obviously they want them to be stuck in the consumer base. But in order for that to happen, it has to be done in a way that when someone's going to a foreign country, right, technically it still is as if they're on their own home soil, because not necessarily you're restricting their freedom, but you're going there with a purpose, because it's really organized. Because if you look at when the Indians or Chinese or the Israeli people, they go to different countries, their like Ministry of Foreign Affairs is so strong to the point where even when they're in a foreign country, it's like they're still in Israel, they're still in China, they're still in India. Not that they can't have fun and do their own thing, but they're going there with a purpose, and that's to develop their own country. But yeah, that's my point on what you had to say.
Exactly. And then I went on to also talk about why these patterns need interrupting, right? Because this is what happens when the pattern is not interrupted. You have people actually digging in the ground like we're still slaves. You know what I mean? That's what this produces. Um, un- um, Intelligent organization does not produce something like this. Intelligent organization produces intelligent organization, if you know what I mean. It produces people who are industries, regions that are organized and that can defend themselves, can protect themselves, whether intellectually, physically, economically. You know what I mean? That's what intelligent organization does. That's why these patterns need to be interrupted. They also need to be interrupted because of the school to prison pipeline that still exists. And then I went on to say how these patterns were interrupted by people before is by people who are musicians, who are artists, people who are historians, teachers. These are interrupted by people simply telling the truth. People simply getting the truth, organizing the truth, and then showing people what the truth is. And then I went on to say the economic system. This was Tulsa's Black Wall Street back in the day. This was a pattern that was interrupted in those times, which was like the 1800s, I think. These patterns were interrupted because the pattern that was happening, or the system that was implemented, it was implemented so that African people don't get a chance to have economic power. But because these Africans in this area were so smart at the time to put their resources together, they were able to interrupt that pattern that we are not supposed to be economically independent. We are not supposed to be economically prosperous. They interrupted that pattern. Go ahead, Pai.
Oh yeah, I think a good pattern interruption, right?
Yeah.
Like if people they started learning what I call the languages of development, right? For example, like if you're in your own country and it's really like English dominated or French dominated, no one say you must have to. No one says you have to speak. No one's forcing you by the gun anymore to speak English or speak French. If there was a system where people they can learn languages like the different regional languages, like whether it's Swahili or like I think it's called Bambara. Oh no, Bambara, right? Because West Africa actually the one of the most spoken languages is actually Bambara. It's not French. It's a little misconception. If they could learn these different languages and use the language as a way to, you see all these different skills I was talking about that some Nigerians are learning in China, right? As far as technology, if you can get like interpreters to be able to translate it into these different languages. So now that person, they don't necessarily have to go all the way far to study anymore. They can learn the same skills in their own language, right? You know, no one's really forcing us to speak English or speak French anymore. That's our that's our decision. It's just that you'd have to make your own you have to make your own market based around that language that you're learning. Because I feel like if you look at, for example, you look at Ethiopia, right? It's damn near impossible for them. That's why they have so many different military bases in Djibouti. I think it's like 11 different military bases, because for example, the languages that they're speaking is not on Google Translate. Like Amharic is not. It's almost nearly impossible with all the different types of people there for them to infiltrate them. But if you're looking at English or French, it's too easy. You know what I mean? For anyone to just come and do whatever they want, pretty much.
Exactly. And then I went on to Dr. Amos Wilson. We talk about black economics is black power, which just how politics is concentrated economics is the same way I believe development is concentrated resources. And that's why intelligent organization for me comes in. But it's not only in all those systems. We have to do it in intelligence. We have to do it in education, as I said before, economics, entertainment, health, war, sex, how we teach our children about sex and so on, which is sex education, entertainment already, and then law and politics. All these areas it must be interrupted. And then why do we need to interrupt them again? Because if we don't, then these people are going to come with these organizations that start with these umbrella terms. They're going to come with these organizations, and they're going to keep that same pattern going that is not working to our benefit. And that was the lesson in a nutshell.
United Nations is not even united. It's just a place where people argue, and then one person vetoes, but one of the permanent member vetoes, and then nothing gets done.
That's funny. That's funny. It's true though. Like, remember, I realized something the other day when I thought about it. I said to myself, you know what these people are doing? They're creating organizations, right? And then they're keeping you out for a period of time so that they can prepare themselves and give themselves rights over you. Then when they already finish giving themselves rights, they welcome you in now. So you have countries that has no resources, no moral compass, no true leaders that have veto power. Then you have countries like these big countries in Africa. No country in Africa have veto power. No, that's a crime. That's what I feel like. And that's why I think I put this in, the United Nations in this list, because they're being used as a front for the imperialists to be infiltrating these places. But with that said, guys, I'm going to play the last Reimagine Africa video, and then I'm going to close it out. All right?
Okay, thanks so much, Architect.
No problem, no problem. You're welcome, you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Marie Antoinette, you're welcome, you're welcome. I'm Pi. We have the same time, eh? So whatever you'll be doing at 2 p.m., man, you better put that on pause. I'm joking.
No. We're actually 12 hours. It's actually 4 a.m. where I am.
Oh, 4 a.m. Oh, crap.
Yeah, so
yeah. Okay.
So I live in Taiwan right now. Yeah.
No problem, no problem. All right then, man. All right, I'm gonna play these things, and then we can reimagine ourselves again, like how we should be doing it from the beginning to the end. I'm gonna play them in the beginning and play them in the end. So here we go.
So the lie began from the very beginning of time, right? And I can ask you one question right now. What does history tell us you about Africa? Who discovered Africa? If you write right now on Google who discovered Africa, you find out that is one white man that he came and discovered Africa. And you can ask yourself that how can you discover a place that already exists? How can you discover a place that people already live in that place? It is impossible, but that's what the history tells us. That's what people believe about Africa, that it was discovered by a white man. This guy, he came, and then he went back, he gave a report, and then the next we know is colonialism, because those guys, they sat somewhere to divide Africa like a piece of cake, because they discovered it, they own it, it belonged to them. But that is us. We discovered, we're the first people to know. And today you have a lot of people around the world that they think that Africa was discovered by them.
You want to support independent economic movements around the world but don't know how? Welcome to Triangle, an independent social economic network right in the palm of your hands. Check on the progress of the projects you are interested in. Watch live videos of the projects that you either donate to or are interested in. Comment on the project with your friends, or contribute to the project while it is live. Check the hottest business plan submission all around the globe. Get an instant update on new business ideas that are submitted through our unique submission system. Upload content about your own business progress. Start a live video to show the world or pictures of your progress. Get personal with the people that had contributed to your project, and also to the people to whom you have contributed to. Search the globe for all the active projects to see what you might be interested in. Start engaging with the future. Sign up for Triangle.
All right, guys. All right, BJ. Thank you for being the last soldier to leave.
I usually am. You take care. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy your family. And thank you so much for all that you're doing for us.
No problem. Thank you guys as well for coming and listening to me.
Have a great evening. Bye.
Yes, so have a great evening. Bye. All right, guys. Energy.